But I want to people here in Cleveland this breakfast, and if I may, I want to take you on a little bit of a journey. Because you've heard the stories, but so many times I travel, and when I talk and people don't know the story. Well, they'll say, yeah, we know the story. It's October 7th. No. You have to understand about that piece of land. The first kibbutzim in that piece of land was built in 1943. 1943, under the British mandate. It was land that was repurchased by the Jewish National Fund. So when you hear those stories of people collecting money in a blue box throughout Europe and throughout America who didn't have a big screen, no Facebook or Instagram, they came to each one of you, people like me, people in the Jewish communal world, based upon hope and dreams. And they asked you to stand up and participate for a 2,000-year dream. And you'll have to trust. You'll take your hard-earned money off of the table. You'll take food off of your plate. And you'll trust that we are going to go by acre of land. And that's what they did. And it makes Israel one of the few nations in the entire world that has a purchase order as part of its existence. And on that land, in 1943, Kibbutz Gvilot was established by Romanian and Turkish immigrants. They were told by the Jewish agency to go there and learn how to be farmers. And there's a book written. They all asked each other, what was a farmer? There was no water. The soil was terrible. And those people in 1943 became some of the great agronomists of the world. Those people in 1943 literally helped bring food onto the plate of people's homes throughout the Middle East, throughout Africa, and even in America. In 1947, the American government and the British government were making a decision that the Negev would not be part of Israel. It was an inside game trick because they didn't think that Israel was going to exist anyway. And so why upset everybody? Let's make the Negev part of Egypt. And David Ben-Gurion called on Yom Kippur of 1947 for Jewish communities to go out and on Jewish National Fund land put tower and stockade communities. You've heard that word if you've been to Israel. It was a legal term by the British. If you built a tower and stockade, you were a community and you couldn't be torn down. So on the nights of Yom Kippur, they went out and planted so that Israel took the Negev. The next rush of the community after the War of Independence, I want you just to understand, the greatest growth came in 1979. Why? It was in 1979 that we signed the peace agreement with Egypt. And we had our communities in the Sinai Peninsula, and for the sake of peace, a right-wing government came with police and army and ripped the people out of their homes for the sake of peace. And those people relocated in that area that was called the Gaza Strip, that today we call the Israel Strip. Some relocated inside of Gaza and built farms and built communities. And for any of you who were there between 1979 and 2005, the greatest beaches in all of that area is in Gaza. Israelis used to flock. They had little bungalows, and you would rent bungalows Go into Gaza and rent your bungalows. The better soil is in Gaza. The better water is in Gaza. It's closer to the ocean. In 2005, for the sake of peace, we dismantled every piece of property in Gaza. We dismantled every piece of property in Gaza. And just to give you what we dismantled, in 2005, the gross national product of what was produced in Gaza was $995 million. So if you're not so good with your dad's business, maybe you would have turned it into $800 million. Well, you're really not so good with your dad's business. Maybe $200 million. The people of Gaza turned a $995 million business in 24 hours into zero, including the beautiful beaches on Gaza. From 2005 until today, you should know that there is a law that says no Jew or Israeli. I want you to listen to what the law says. No Jew or Israeli is allowed transport to be in Gaza from 2005 until today. A Palestinian can come into Israel, a Jordanian, an Egyptian. A Jew, by law, is not allowed to go into Gaza. On that day of the 7th, I was there. I was to have dinner with Ophir Lichting. I got on my phone at 6:32. The attack has started. I sent him and others, be careful. By 7:04, he was dead. If Lichting was here with you today, he would have only spoken to you about building economic opportunity for the Palestinians. His wife would meet people at the border and take them to the hospital. They killed Ophir and they killed his son. I give you his story because that's the majority of the people that they murdered. No soldiers, people who cared about them. People that were working every day to try to make a world a better place for them. And whatever we think goes on, we can have our disagreements, you have to know the history. This was not something that they asked for, but it's something that we had prepared for because every other month they've been taken out on evacuation. So we had a plan for evacuation, not for October 7th. We had a plan. We were always called upon that they wanted to evacuate. They wanted to go to respite for 2 days. So we had a chart, and every 2 weeks we would update it. This hostel can handle 219 people. These homes can handle 5 people here, 10 people here. Here's the bus we would have to get. It was simply a good business decision. October 7th, we set up our situation room. We never had to make phone calls because people were calling us every single day. And in 72 hours, through contributions to the Jewish National Fund, 32,000 people were evacuated from their homes. Now, we tried to do it in the most organized way. It wasn't being done for the majority of the people there. If you have a person with special needs, to send them to a lot where there's no services doesn't make sense. But you're under time, so you try to do as best you can. But I just give you this little story again so you can understand it. In Mitzpeh Ramon, for those who have been there, it's a city, little c, of less than 5,000 people. The biggest thing in there is the Breshit Hotel. We sent, in 48 hours, 3,900 people. Because they said yes. And we did not have experience in this. And when you send that many people, you've doubled their population. And I was telling Barry this, you learn things that you never thought you would learn. You get a call from the mayor a week later who says, I need a garbage truck. And I'm thinking, we're in the middle of a war. We're trying to feed people. I got kids at my high school. And you need a garbage truck. He said, Russell, you doubled my population. The garbage is piling up on the street. It's something that you don't think about. You don't think about that you sent so many people there, and the largest store that was there was like a 7-Eleven. So we're providing 800 diapers a week. Go into your medicine chest and see how many Advils you have there, eye drops, things that you don't think about. We didn't. So our kids who were at Muss High School, and when I got there, you got to understand we have 290 kids. We are planning for 2,500 kids that year. It was going to be the best year ever. 16 and 17-year-olds coming for 18 and 8 weeks to Israel. Over 50% from non-Jewish day schools. 70% of those parents have never been to Israel. They're coming, I think, to get into the greatest college. I don't care. When they come, we teach them 4,000 years of Jewish history. And when they leave our school, that is the answer for the college campuses. So we had our kids scattered. We had to bring them together. And we started keeping their minds going, and we would have shampoo and toothpaste, Tylenol, and Advil, and they would be packing them. Thousands and thousands of bags. And I have to tell you, 16 and 17-year-olds come and tell you the story because it's about our future. First, they organized it all themselves. Then, on October 12th, it became very evident that we had to send them back home. I was losing teachers that were being drafted in the Army. The security situation, who knew? So what happened was, I have to tell them. Now, to tell a 16, 17-year-old who wants to go home is one thing. To tell them that the only way they're going to go home is on a special little flight to Italy because there was no planes, and the plane was a little bit smaller than you were used to, and they were there for 18 weeks, so just leave your clothes. And we told them, don't worry, we will try to find, because we're going to be having evacuees sitting in the school in the next week, and they'll use your clothes that they can. The next day I woke up, those 16 and 17-year-olds, your 16 and 17-year-olds, your future, did not leave their clothes. They spent all night washing their clothes. They started folding their clothes. Girls, socks, shirts, pants. They didn't just fold and clean their clothes. They threw away the ones that were not any good. They put notes in every piece of clothing that said, we are here and we love you. No one told them to do it. I looked across that room, and I was sending home a group of kids who were in tears for leaving Israel, but who had a connection that will be with them for the rest of their life. By the way, at the same time, they started an online fundraising campaign, and they apologized because they had only raised in 2 days over $600,000. That's our group from yesterday that will be our leaders tomorrow. And when we were taking care with food and with issues and putting people where they were, the north was happening, but we understood that you had to have two things in catastrophe relief. You had to have trust, and you had to give people a belief that they were going to come home. And we did that. We built a plan called Build Together. It wasn't our plan. It was a plan in which we had sent to every organization, to everybody there, and we said, we're not going to recreate the wheel. Whatever you do, let's do it together. Let's work together. It's not about a press release. It's a person. It didn't work so well in some places. Some places it did. But we are committed to build together. we started to bring our volunteers from the United States. And I'll be honest, I thought another 25 will be able to come a week. Well, I'm very happy to tell you that as of today, 5,700 American volunteers have come to Israel. 57. Anybody here been on one of our trips? So you ask them what they do. It's 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. There's not one tour day that we give them. They're painting, they're rebuilding. That first kibbutz Givot, established in 1943, had an old high school, and we went and rebuilt their high school and their school so that 800 children were able to come to school. The volunteers, they rebuilt parks. 9 parks we have finished. From Kibbutz Erez, Kisufim. We have redone community centers. We have helped bring back 70% of the people that have come back to the OTF. And I'll tell you what our volunteers did. I told it last night. We had one group. Imagine you left your house. You left everything in your refrigerator. The electricity went off. I know you're eating, so excuse me. Imagine what it smells like 9 months later. Our volunteers who came from America, who I guarantee never did this at home, got on their hands and knees and cleaned people's homes, shampooed their carpet, cleaned their couches, repainted their home so that the day they would come home, they were coming home. We worked with Hashomer, bringing tens of thousands of Israelis to pick fruit. Next time you go to the store and you see fruit, it didn't come from another country, and it doesn't come from another country in Israel. But fruit was on the table because we helped bring those volunteers from Israel and around the country to there. We sent our kids home, but starting in January, we have had Alexander Muss high school kids, 16 and 17-year-olds in our school every single day, and today there are 60 of them there today, all from non-Jewish day schools. And if things go well, starting in December, we'll be back up to our 2,500. If you're looking for the answer for tomorrow, you could put $1,000 million into college work today. And I'm telling you, it's not going to make a big difference. You want to give the answer? Put money into teenagers. 25 years ago, 19,000 teenagers traveled to Israel from the United States on programs of 5 weeks or more. And in 25 years, that number's gone down to 3,500. I'm not a doctor, but if I was examining the patient, I would say that medicine's not doing too well. Invest in teenagers, in Alexander Muss High School in Israel, in Heller High from the Reform Movement, in Try Israel from the Conservative Movement. By the way, we give grants to each of those institutions because we want all ships to rise. It is high school students. But we're not forgetting college students. And we have been investing in bringing positive Israel. And this 9/11, Sophia, where are you? Sophia, we're working with Students Supporting Israel, the Jewish National Fund, one small group, and tell them how many college campuses we're going to have 9/11 memorials. 44 college campuses are going to the same area that those tents were put. Is going to be a very large banner with the 9/11 memorial from Israel, which we built, which, by the way, you can see live stream from Israel every year, and the New York memorial with all about shared values, because that's who we are. Just name a couple of the schools. So we will send it to you as a follow-up. If you can go there and support your students. If you're an alumni there, send a letter to the president of the university because it sure helps. It wasn't so easy. You can sure get permits for 10-7 on college campus very easy. Anti. But when you want to do something pro, shared values, it's very difficult. So I'm going to close with just telling you how your money has worked. I told you what we did. From 10-7, I just want you to hear this in the OTEF, and then I'm going to do quickly in the north. We have 2 new synagogues being built, a new trauma center added to our medical center. We have 15 emergency response centers, which are going to be holding for civil defense, fire department, and Mogen David Adam. We have 7 parks that we've completed. We have the largest resilience center being built in the region, in Eshkol region, under contract. We have the largest sports center in Shar HaNegev with track and field, everything, so that it's a place to say, wow, this is where I live. We reopened our Sderot indoor playground, which we built 16 years ago, thinking we never should have had it more than a year, so that 500 plus kids get to play every single day without worrying. We have built a mechinot, gap year for college students before they go to the army in the Eshkol region. We opened up a new high school for Israeli students in the OTEF. 100 high school students came from Tel Aviv. Very high standards to get in. It's going to be 300 within 3 years living in the OTEF. That means that their parents are sending them there to bring vibrancy and tomorrow. We are doing 800 housing sites like we've done in Kisufin and Re'im and other places. We were building housing sites to bring populations there. And in Ade Negev, which is our rehabilitation place for people with mental disabilities, we've added on to our rehabilitation hospital. And on October 7th, we're going to have 100 plus people in Israel on a special solidarity trip. And we're going to be walking in with Kibbutz Re'im as they move back home to bring us up to 70% of the people who live in the OTEF coming back home and making it the place to be in Israel. And in the north, it is much more difficult. There's a story not being told. It's 120,000 people displaced from their homes in 291 hotels, 290 cities. The amount of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, spousal abuse, child abuse is astronomical. These are people that were never high on the economic levels. Even if they were told to move back tomorrow, you couldn't move back to your home. You will have to burn your mattress, your sheets. There's bugs, there's rats. These are people that don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. There are children that you will meet families and they say, my 17-year-old doesn't live here anymore. And when you ask where, she does not know. These are the stories not being told. Humanitarian crisis that is not being told of our people in the north. We're committed to reimagining. Our Galileo Culinary Institute that was being built before is under construction today. And it's going to be the finest culinary institute in the world. And why can I say that? Because we're going to teach 82 different nationalities that make up the Jewish people. You can't have that anywhere else. We have a medical center in Kiryat Shimona because in 2024, there was no medical services. It is under construction. Today, every day, you go there and you can hear the echoing. And I was there a couple of months ago, and 250 trucks showed up pouring tons and tons and tons of cement. And I watched. And I've been in a tunnel built by Hamas and Hezbollah. And it hit me so hard. You're going to be asked to participate in laying cement. Ours is at a medical center. Theirs is at a death tunnel. If nothing else tells you that the Jewish people believe in life, that story should. We will believe in life. We will bring life. We need each and every one of you, and we're committed to making the results happen. Thank you.